But isn't it interesting how it's hard to look at, but it's easy to put into your stomach? Isn't that really strange?
Yeah.
Do any of you have any pets or anything? Yeah. What pets do you have?
I don't know.
You have a dog. Would you ever eat your dog? Why not? Meat tastes good, doesn't it? But isn't it weird how some animals that we show respect to, and then some animals we put in a slaughterhouse and stab in the throat for a burger? Like, and I used to eat animal products every day, like every day of my life, and then I seen footage like that, and then I sort of questioned, like, what am I doing? And there's other things that did you know that there's other food that we can eat that doesn't involve like animals fighting for their lives in slaughterhouses?
Yep.
Have you ever heard of veganism before? So, yeah, we're all vegans and we weren't born that way. We all ate animal products and we just seen footage like this and made a conscious decision to not hurt animals, because if you ask most people, they say that they at least like animals, you know, and then they don't realise. I mean, did you sort of ever think about the meat on your plate and think about animals in slaughterhouses before? No. Does anyone have any strong opinions? Or it's okay to disagree, by the way. You know, it's okay to offer a different point of view. So some people will disagree and they'll say, but we evolved to eat meat, but we've been eating meat for thousands of years, and there's different points of view to it. But ultimately, like, if we live in a society now where there's vegan alternatives that taste the same and are healthier for us and don't involve animals being stabbed to death in a slaughterhouse, do you think it gets kind of hard to justify that? What do you think? Like, does watching the footage make anyone here feel hungry?
No, I feel sick.
Yeah. And does anyone think that what happens to animals in slaughterhouses, are any as comfortable with it?
No.
Yeah. I mean, do any of you ever think you could give veganism a go, or at least try it out? Yeah. Yous are awesome. Like, young people, you know what I love about younger people? Yous haven't been like lied to. Like, we're all sort of lied to, told different things. Like, I mean, have you ever looked at nutrition in school yet? Usually at a certain stage you're told like you need meat for protein or cow's milk for calcium. But like, see the way we eat meat and we think it does give us protein, but think about what the animals eat. They're eating like grass and corn and soybeans. So all the nutrients originally come from plants in the first place. So as vegans, we just go straight to the plant-based food and like leave the animals alone. You know what I mean? Because see, if it was us in a slaughterhouse, like, we would want someone to be speaking up for us. You know, and that's all we were out here doing, trying to show like otherwise good people who just don't know what happens to animals, and to empower you. Like, if you don't think that's okay, you don't have to pay for it anymore. And I guess like maybe you aren't going shopping yourselves or cooking the food, but like, I can give you information you could maybe share with your parents or whatever. You know, you could watch it yourself. It's not like hours and hours of slaughterhouse footage. There is parts of that because I think it's an important part of learning what happens, but education on nutrition, diet, other things to eat, how bad it is for the planet, and ultimately how bad it is for animals. And like, yous are going to grow up and shape the future more than older people who have already made big life choices. And you know, we eat like breakfast, lunch and dinner, so that's animal products 3 times a day. So 3 times a day we actually have the power to say, I'm going to harm animals or I'm going to hurt them. You know what I mean? You ever thought about it that way before? Like, if you wouldn't eat a dog, why would you eat a pig?
That's a big thought.
Isn't it?
Why do people like go for like pigs and not dogs?
Pigs are more intelligent than dogs.
I love pigs.
Pigs are as intelligent as a 4-year-old child.
What?
They have dreams and all. You can Google it. You can check it out. Yeah, even chickens. You ever heard of REM, rapid eye movement? It's something that you have when you dream, but chickens have that when they sleep too. Like, chickens have dreams. They can remember up to like 100 faces. They have distinct like noises that they make for each of their children. They're intelligent creatures that we're putting in a slaughterhouse, you know. But it's interesting, like, your body language, you can't even look at it because it's so horrible. Isn't that true? Yeah, it's hard to watch, like, but I think animals are forced to endure it, so the very least we can do is look at what they go through. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's okay if you can't face it, but you can see it and you feel a certain type of way about it. But yeah, the youth are the future, you know what I mean? So you can grow up and like make more kinder choices that don't harm animals, and veganism is also the future too. Like 10 years ago there wasn't vegan sausages in Tesco's, there wasn't vegan egg alternatives, and you might have to do a little shopping around and go to different shops to get them, but vegan products are out there. You ever get the frozen Goodfellas pizzas in Tesco's?
Yeah.
There's a vegan version of that now. But you know, animals can't speak up for themselves. They have no voice, and they're just defenseless, and they're weaker than us. So they're pretty much bullied and taken advantage of, and like everyone hates bullies, you know what I mean? But I just think animals are bullied and pushed into a slaughterhouse, and no one cares, like, because we're just so focused on the end product and the result and what's on our plate and the taste, and we don't ever think about the process of what they go through. You know, you think like thinking about what animals go through. Here, it's okay. Like, see the fact that you feel sad, that shows that you have a good heart, like, and it shows that you know that it's really wrong. Some people will actually be here and they'll argue and they'll say this is totally fine, and they don't really seem to express much of a heart because they're much older and they've like been eating animal products their whole lives, and it's just harder for them to relate. But you know, in newborn babies, like kids, like we're just more sensitive and we haven't grown hard yet. So just keep it in mind. Like, you may also, what can happen if you decide to go vegan, you may be challenged by your other friends, and they may come up with counter arguments that seem really intelligent, like we evolved to eat meat, we need protein, but it just comes from lack of proper education. And the information is out there. I'll give you information and you can look it up yourselves, but if you see on the screen and you disagree and you know in your heart it's wrong, and you know that there's vegan alternatives out there, you can make those choices, and like, don't let anyone ever try to convince you that we need to harm animals in 2018, because we don't. I've been a vegan nearly 3 years and I'm healthy and I'm happy, and I just feel good about knowing that animals aren't suffering on my behalf, you know. Like, there's this idea of humane slaughter, like that there's somehow a nice way to kill someone who doesn't want to die. Like, they have a preference to live, but they're shot in the head, and then they cut their throat and the blood drains out of them, and then they're cut up into like pieces, and then we eat their dead bodies. But I'm sure you probably never heard it being said that way before. You know, you see on the TV like chicken fillets, like beef burgers, quarter pounders, and it's all really colourful, really catchy music, and it's advertised in a way that makes you like want it. You know, a lot of marketing and advertising is very psychological. They have like psychologists who study the mind and study what makes people attracted to certain things, and they target us.
I'm actually gonna start crying.
It's okay, man. It's okay. Like, you know, it's a sign that you care, man. So don't be ashamed of it. But yeah, I'll give you some cards, and you can maybe. What made me vegan was this speech here on YouTube. It's called The Best Speech You Will Ever Hear, and it's an hour-long talk of this guy, kind of talking about similar things that I've talked about here, and he goes into it in a bit more detail, obviously, because he talks for a whole hour. And then there's different things about how Cowspiracy. Does anyone have Netflix?
Yeah.
Like, Cowspiracy is on Netflix. That's how bad it is for the environment. We're literally destroying the rainforest. Yes, I do. We're literally destroying the rainforest to grow crops, you know, for cows, and then to slaughter. So we're all this land to grow all these crops to feed to these cows that are just going to be killed, when if we just didn't breed those animals into existence in the first place, we would have more land to grow food to feed like poor people, you know, because there's about 1 billion poor people in the world, and about 20,000 people die every day of starvation. But if we used all that food that we feed to these animals, like 74 billion land animals a year die for food, for human consumption. If we used all that food, we could eradicate poverty. So it's a global picture, you know. It's not just like, you know, don't go away and think I'm just one person and I won't make a difference. Every meal that you eat that doesn't have an animal product on it, that doesn't have an animal product on your plate, that makes a difference to an animal, because they didn't have to die, you know, for you to eat. What do you reckon? Who wants to be vegan? Put your hand up. All good, okay. It's okay if you don't, you know, if it doesn't, it's not going to resonate with everybody, but I'll give you some info cards and maybe watch it together and then talk about it after and maybe challenge each other on it and say, well, what about this, and research it. But yeah, that's amazing. How long have you been vegan? Recently, like? Yeah, that's amazing. It's really good for human health as well. Animal products are full of saturated fat and cholesterol, and animals are fed like antibiotics and drugs that aren't good for them really. It's just to fatten them up and make them grow extra heavy. They're actually animals are killed at a fraction of their lifespan. So like a cow can live till about 20 to 25 years, but they're killed at about 4 years because maybe their milk will stop producing as much milk after that. And it's the same with chickens. Like, they're all killed way younger than they would naturally grow to be. So a pig, for example, you may say that's a pretty big pig on that screen. That pig's about 6 months old, so they're just babies really. They've just been bred to be heavier and bigger for human beings to eat them. So and see, if you want to go vegan and you think it's kind of hard and stuff, just remember who it's really hardest for, which is the animals. You know, it might be hard, like you don't know what to eat or whatever, but animals are literally being forced to die for a taste pleasure, you know, and they can't do anything about it. So the only way it's going to change is if people change and lead with your heart. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for listening to me and opening your mind and stuff to what animals go through. So I'll give you some info cards. You check them out. 2, 3, 4. Thanks very much. Cheers for stopping.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Cheers.